Should you be on YouTube or should you be on Instagram as a business owner or content creator? Where are you best placed to invest your resource, your time, your energy and attention? What are some of the pros and cons of both? Now, when we're comparing the effort that it takes to create content for Instagram versus YouTube, I would argue that YouTube is more effort. When you combine the different equipment that you need, the lighting, the camera, the video editing software, the script you need to create to put together a really great video, whether you're talking face to cam or not, if you want to capture any B-roll, so those are the nice clips of other things that you capture to add a bit of interest to your video, to make it more interesting than just talking face to camera or just filming one thing. When you combine all of those things together, I think that YouTube is definitely more effort, especially because if you want to succeed on YouTube in 2022, you do need to be creating really valuable videos. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be creating really jazzy effects, you have to be editing them really well, they have to be, filmed in 4K. Doesn't mean that, but it does mean that you do have to consider the way that your videos are structured, how valuable they are, the quality of them in terms of the camera that you're using. And it doesn't have to be a camera, it could be a smartphone, but you do have to consider all of these things. If you compare that to Instagram, Instagram is less effort to create a much bigger output of content. Now, of course, you do have to be on top of your planning and creation process. You have to be good at batching because, as we all know, if you're not on top of content batching for Instagram, you could spend hours and hours and hours and hours putting together just one post at a time for the platform. So if you're stuck in that cycle, then yes, content creation for Instagram will be a lot of effort. But if you're on top of your processes, then creating lots of content for Instagram does require less effort. Putting together reels is relatively quick once you get the hang of it. Putting together a carousel post, yes, that requires a bit more time and effort, but you don't have to also consider the fact of you getting on camera and thinking about, oh, is the sound right? Are my batteries charged for my camera? All of those things that go into YouTube content creation. You don't have to think of quite so many things when you're putting together Instagram content. The next thing I want to talk about is the potential of content on YouTube versus Instagram. When I say the potential, I really mean the lifespan. What potential has pieces of content on each platform got after you hit publish? Now, with Instagram, the lifespan of content on Instagram is relatively short. Now, that has changed slightly with the advent of Instagram Reels. Ever since Instagram Reels came along, lots of Instagram accounts, lots of business owners and content creators have noticed how they've published an Instagram Reel and 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks later, that reel has suddenly done really well and has continued to generate results for them in the form of engagement, followers, click-throughs, etc., etc. So apart from Instagram Reels, Instagram content does have a very short shelf life. When you compare that to YouTube, it's quite different. I have had videos of mine that I published on YouTube a year ago continue to not only generate revenue for me through the ads on YouTube, but also get me email subscribers, because all of the info that I have in the descriptions of every YouTube video I publish, it still is relevant to people. And so people might watch a video about Instagram insights that I published a year ago, and they will check out what I've put in the description, they'll download my lead magnet, and they will get onto my email list. This is great. So I am still able to generate results, build my email list, generate revenue from ads, just generally continue to grow my organic SEO on the platform months and sometimes years after I have created that piece of content. So the potential and the value of pieces of content on YouTube are definitely stronger than on Instagram. Now let's talk about immediate results, because we talked about potential, we talked about the long-term value of content on YouTube versus Instagram, but what about immediate results? What about if you don't want to wait 6 months, a year to start seeing results on a platform? In that case, I would argue that Instagram is better for immediate results. For most people, YouTube is a long game. It takes a while for most people on YouTube to get monetized. You have to have 4,000 hours of watch time, you have to have at least 1,000 subscribers, and that for most people takes a good amount of time. Some people, of course, the exceptions to the rule, they will get there in 3, 4, 5 months. But for me, I wasn't monetized on YouTube. I think it was at least a year in. It might even be a little bit beyond that. So for me to start generating real results on YouTube, to get monetized, to start building my email list with the help of YouTube, it took me a while, and I had to invest quite a lot of time and money. Time in terms of filming all the content and posting a weekly YouTube video for more than a year. Money in terms of the equipment I spent a bit of money on, the editor that I used to help me edit some of my videos. I had to invest quite a lot of time and money before I started generating any kind of results in return. Instagram, on the other hand, if you arrive on Instagram with a really strong strategy and you start publishing content consistently on the platform, you can start seeing results really, really quickly. And there's a good point in there about the fact that both platforms do require consistency. I'm afraid I'm not going to say in this video that YouTube is great because you can be sporadic and still see results, or vice versa for Instagram. Both require consistency. So if you really are weighing up one platform over the other, then the immediacy of results might be a big factor in your decision, because both do require a really strong strategy and really good content and consistency. So if you only have a finite amount of time and resources to be consistent on one of those platforms, think about the value of each and what we've talked about in today's video, because you do need to be consistent to have great content on both of them. The penultimate point I wanted to discuss was connection with your audience. Is it better on YouTube? Is it better on Instagram? I believe that it's fairly equal on both platforms in terms of how much of a loyal following you can build, how much of a community you can foster. However, I believe it's easier to do this quickly on Instagram. Again, I've started to build a bit of a loyal following on YouTube. I see the same names pop up again and again in the comments section. It's really lovely. But that has taken at least a year to get to that point, because YouTube isn't set up in quite the same way as Instagram is. Instagram is meant to be more of a social network. You can have conversations in the comments sections, in the DMs, via Instagram story stickers. Instagram just facilitates that conversation and that community a bit easier than YouTube does. That isn't to say that you can't build a really strong, engaged community on YouTube, but I think it does just take a little bit more time and effort on YouTube versus Instagram. And finally, which is better for your mental health? Now, this is really, really difficult to say. I think that both have pros and cons when it comes to how both platforms affect your mental health. It depends what kind of content you are going to be putting out on YouTube. If the content is about you, if it is about your life, if you are vlogging, that will probably be quite a big toll on your mental health eventually, because you are very, very wrapped up in it. Your life, your identity, depending on how much you share, is being put online. If your content isn't about you at all, it's very much about your products, your business, and you are not kind of front-facing in your content, then I don't think YouTube would be as harmful in that way. Same with Instagram, to be honest. What I would say, however, is that in terms of the output and the effort and energy required, I think that Instagram can sometimes be a little bit harder on your mental health than YouTube. I say that because while individual YouTube videos do take time and effort to put together, I can then publish that video on YouTube and kind of forget about it until I publish a video a week later. That's not really the case with Instagram. With Instagram content, you need to be relatively involved in the platform. You need to be present on that platform at least 3 or 4 times a week. And if you want to grow quickly and grow really strong relationships with people on the platform and start building those relationships that may just turn into customers and clients, then you need to be putting yourself out there. You need to be proactive in a way that you just don't really need to be quite so much, I would argue, on YouTube. So which platform should you be present on, YouTube or Instagram? Now, of course, this is unique to everybody, every content creator, every business owner. It really depends what type of business you're running, whether you're product-based, service-based, whether you showing up sharing educational content would be really valuable, whether you showing up on YouTube with how-tos and tutorials would be really valuable to your audience. You need to ask yourself whether you have the resource to put into weekly content creation on YouTube and regular content creation for Instagram. They are a bit different, as we've discussed, but they do require consistency. They do both require great content. So which one do you want to focus your time and attention on? I would argue that being present on both platforms is best, but if you can be smart with your content creation, then that will do a lot of the heavy lifting of the content creation side of things. So for example, if you planned a weekly YouTube video that was about one big topic, how could you break down that topic into smaller bite-sized pieces of content that you could then share on Instagram? And the final thing I wanted to say before I sign off is if you are only going to pick one platform, YouTube or Instagram, just make sure you also have an email marketing strategy in place. You want to be having a two-pronged approach with relationship building with your followers. So they might be subscribers on YouTube, they might be followers on Instagram, but while you are building that following on that platform, make sure you're also communicating with those people via your email list. Email is so valuable. It's the one thing that you own. You don't own YouTube, you don't own Instagram, you do own your email list. And when people are being affected by algorithms, when they have fatigue with social media and they're kind of having a break, email is where you can continue that drumbeat of conversation with them. So please, if you're going to pick one platform, make sure you're also sending out regular emails as well. That's all for this week's video, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it and I hope you feel a little bit more confident about whether YouTube or Instagram is for you. In the meantime, before you go, just check out these two videos here. We have this one about whether you should boost Instagram posts, whether it's worth it on the platform, and this video here, which is about how you can increase your chances of getting on the Instagram Explore page. I will see you next week for a brand new video. Thank you for watching. Bye.